Before this video begins, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. And also, be sure to check out my affiliate links down in the description below to get discounts on car mods and products. Okay, let's get started with the review. Hello and welcome. Today we are inside of a 2019 Subaru Forester Sport. This is an all-wheel drive model with symmetrical all-wheel drive. I would like to thank Valenti Subaru in Westerly, Rhode Island for allowing me to review this vehicle. Their link is down in the description below. This Forester Sport is finished in crystal white pearl and once again does have all-wheel drive. This is a two-row SUV with seating for 5, and it cost about $29,000 when new. It weighs in with a gross weight of about 4,900 pounds. This is powered by a 2.5-liter naturally aspirated flat-4 boxer engine, producing 182 horsepower and 176 pound-feet of torque. This is mated with a Lineartronic CVT that is shiftable, and that achieves 26 miles per gallon city, 33 on the highway, averaging out to 29 miles per gallon. This does have a 16.6 gallon fuel tank. This does ride on some 18-inch gloss black aluminum wheels, and they are 225 tires. This vehicle is also capable of towing up to 1,500 pounds. For safety features in this car, you do get Subaru's EyeSight forward collision alert with braking system, lane departure alert, and you do get auto high beams. Unfortunately, there is no blind spot monitoring in this trim. On the exterior, you do get 4-wheel independent suspension and heated mirrors, and it looks pretty similar to most other Subarus of the era and to this day in 2022. You do get LED front and rear lights, and you get some fog lights in here. And they look pretty good in my opinion. They're conservative, but they look good. And then the rear resemble the Honda Accord lights, actually, of a couple years past, such as the lobster claw type of shape. You do get a lot of blacked out chrome trim, including the front grille, and lots of other trim pieces along the windowsills and all over the vehicle. You also do get some orange stripe trim, so that's what will differentiate this from other Foresters. This sport model has a lot of orange trim on the interior and the exterior for accenting. I think it looks pretty good, but in my opinion, I would have preferred red. Red is the typical sports color. Orange looks good, don't get me wrong, but I would have probably chosen red if it were given to me as an option. You do get a rear spoiler that keeps the rain off of the glass, but you do only get one single chrome exhaust tip back there. I wish they had done dual, because although this isn't so much of a performance-based trim, it's supposed to look like one. The aesthetics are supposed to look a lot more performance-oriented, and they do overall, but a dual chrome exhaust tip would have helped in that. And for my thoughts on the exterior, it looks pretty similar to most Subarus. As you can see in the front, looks similar to an Outback or another common vehicle, such as a Legacy. You get your blacked out wheels, the orange trim runs across there, and it also does go onto the roof runners. And above those, you do get a full panoramic sunroof in here. It's not as big as some others, but it's adequate. Lets in a lot of good natural light. And inside of there, you do get your controls for that, so that will slide. And then in the rear of this vehicle, you do get your all-wheel drive badge, your sport badge, and yeah, nice little blacked out rear bumper area. And once again, your single chrome exhaust tip. And I think the rear looks pretty good in here. It looks a bit more aggressive with all the nice gloss black than some other Subarus. And let's hop inside. So for the door panel in here, they chose a pretty interesting material. So they put some, I don't know what you would call this, like multi-pattern cloth in here. So it looks kind of like a seat, a seat material of years past, but it looks pretty cool. It's not that soft though, it's not really padded, it's just lined up to a plastic panel. Here this is hard plastic, up here is padded, but this centerpiece is all hard plastic with like some hexagonal grain patterns. It doesn't look bad, but I wish it were a bit more padded. Here is nicely padded, but very thin padding. You do get, of course, your grab handle, and you get your power window controls. And those are unfortunately not one touch, but that's okay. And you do get your power mirror controls. You do get some orange accent stitching that runs throughout the interior. No audio system in here though, just a stock one. For the driver's seat, you do get power adjustments with a two-way lumbar support right there. And the seats themselves, they're an interesting choice of materials. Lots of orange accent stitching, but they also do have that the cloth material. It looks good, I just hope it holds up long term with a lot of wear. Versus leather, it may or may not perform as well. To the left of your steering wheel, you do get some nice plastic accenting in, once again, that blazing orange, and a little bit of stitching. You do get a few blank buttons here, so you know you're not in the top trim. I wish they had, you know, filled those in, or just not included them in bigger buttons here. And you also do get one right there, but that's okay. You do get an auto stop start button, which I love because I hate auto stop start. That's my opinion, but I think it causes excessive wear on an engine that isn't needed, just to save minuscule amounts of fuel. You do get a traction off button, and let's hop inside. For the passenger seat, it is about the same materials as the driver, but unfortunately, as you just saw, it is 100% manual adjustment for slide, forward, rear, and for the whole rear section of the seat. So that's kind of unfortunate. However, this wasn't that expensive of a vehicle. I can let it slide. For your steering wheel, it is a very nice leather wrapped wheel with, it feels pretty premium in hand. Some nice little nubby bolsters at 10 and 2. And it has the running of orange accent stitching throughout there. It's a bit of a busy wheel with all the buttons. It looks similar to most Subaru wheels, but with some nice little chrome trim running there. But it just has so many buttons here, it's a little bit confusing to do, because they also put 4 down here, and a whole other thing for your cruise control, which is going to be back here on the rear, so you can toggle those like so. It's okay, it's understandable, but it's just a little busy in my opinion. On the rear, you do get some shift paddles. Those are just solid plastic. They are pretty large though, and they feel pretty decent in hand. I'm not complaining. In the center here, you do unfortunately not get any dual zone climate control. It is single zone climate control with auto, which is a bit odd to me. So I wish it had that. That's my main only gripe with that area of the car. For your infotainment above that, you do get Subaru's Starlink system. It is a pretty good system. It's really not bad in my opinion. It has some hard buttons for your presets to jump around, so you can go to radio, you can go to phone, and you can control your media. And also you do have a button for home, so you can go through your apps. And it's a pretty responsive thing. Easy to see. It's a bit glossy. I wish they hadn't used a full glass screen. I wish they'd gone a bit more matte. I'm okay with this infotainment system. I like it. It's intuitive and it is pretty responsive. Above that, you do get an LCD screen up here, so you can control some of your other functions. You can display a lot of different information up there. From here, on your wheel, it'll either be inside of there or right there. Yeah, you control your climate settings through there. With those buttons, it will be displayed up there. I think it's an interesting touch. For your gauge cluster, you do get an analog tachometer and speedometer, and you do get a digital screen in the middle where you can control a plethora of information. For your shifter here, it is a traditional look shifter, button on the rear, and it does have a shiftable mode, and that is mated with the CVT. And shifting into reverse here, you can see your rear camera. It is very wide, has moving tracking lines, which is nice, but unfortunately it's just not the highest quality of camera. Many brands have been doing this. They've been putting a lot lower quality cameras than I've expected. So this is not anything to knock Subaru, but I just wish cars in general had a bit higher res cameras, because a few have had it, and it can't be that much more expensive to put them in. You do get some piano black gloss trim over here around your shifter, and it does have a nice leather boot with, once again, your accented orange stitching. In front of that, you do get a storage cubby in here. You do get a 9-volt charger, USB Type-A, and an aux port in there. You also do get a nice running of the orange trim, once again, around your shifter area. Then you do get heated seats, controls for both the driver and passenger seat. They are not cooled, but that is okay. They are both heated. You do have one blank button here, though, so I wish they had removed that. You do get an electronic parking brake and your auto hold feature, and you get a couple of drive modes. So you push for normal, you go to the left for snow, and that is X mode enabled, and then you can go to deep snow or mud. So how X mode works, it will help your transmission activate hill descent control very often, so that it will not actually lock up if you're going down a steep descent or something like that. It'll do a pretty good job. It's a typical all-wheel drive system, but it has a lot better programming than others inside of it, so it can help you in some sticky situations. Behind that, you do get tool cup holders, and you get a nice little padded armrest. You can open that, you get a top tier of storage with a little plastic piece, and another 9-volt inside of there. It's pretty good storage space. For your dashboard, it is very well padded all throughout. Right until this design piece, this is hard plastic, but it's okay, it's just for aesthetics. And you get some nice little hits of silver and chrome trim. For your glove box on the right, it is pretty large, it is damped, and yeah, it's adequate. And for your rear view mirror, it is auto dimming, and it's close to frameless. It looks pretty good in here. And finally, for your visors, you do have a lighted vanity mirror, and the visor itself will not slide, but it does have an extender. It does a pretty good job. Doesn't perfectly cover it, but it's close enough. And once again, above you, you have your panoramic sunroof. And let's hop into the back. Alright, so hopping in the back, it is a very similar door panel, same material setup and everything as the front. And the seats themselves back here, this is a small SUV, so it competes with the Honda CR-V, Toyota RAV4, Kia Seltos, and the Ford Escape, to name a few. And I have great room back here. I'm about 6 feet tall with pretty long legs. I still have a few inches of knee room in front of me, and this driver's seat is where I would sit. And for headroom, it's really not a sloping design. It's a relatively boxy SUV, so it's very, very roomy back here for my head. I still have inches above me. And the window to the side of you is huge and tall, not restricting at all. In your center here, you do get a pair of USB Type-A ports. You get a couple blank buttons. I would assume that's for higher trim when you would get heated seats. These, unfortunately, are not. And you do get 2 climate vents. No controls for those, but that's all right. And on the rear of each seat, you do get a storage pouch. So that is nice. And for a pull down right here, you have an armrest and 2 cup holders. Pretty typical and standard, and yeah, it's comfortable back here. I like it back here. And finally, let's have a look at the cargo area. And in your rear liftgate, that is powered, so you will open it like so. And your cargo area is pretty impressive in here, but it is very spacious back here. A little bit more wheel well intrusion than I would hope for, but overall it's a very, very wide floor, very flat, and yeah, has a couple cutouts on each side, and some mounting hooks if you needed them. And down below all of this, you do get a donut spare tire with a jack, so that's nice. Lots of cars have been getting rid of them. I am happy that Subaru has not. And for this liftgate, it unfortunately is not powered. It does not have a power close, but it's a very light tailgate. You can close it with ease. You also do get an easy open fuel door back here. And let's hop back into the front and discuss my final thoughts. Alright, so for my final thoughts on this 2019 to 2022 Subaru Forester Sport, I think it's a very nice package. I haven't driven this, but it is a very, very nice package, really. It gives you a lot of features from middle to higher end cars, but it's just in a Subaru. It looks pretty good. It looks conservatively styled like most do, but the trim definitely helps. The nice blacked out trim and some of the orange striping, I think it looks good. And the interior itself, it has an interesting choice of materials, and it looks pretty exciting and interesting next to some of its counterparts, at least in this sport trim. And for the infotainment system, I think it's pretty good. Pretty intuitive and simple to use, and yeah, I would definitely consider owning this car myself. Alrighty, that'll just about do it for this review. Thank you for watching, and thank you to Valenti Subaru in Westerly, Rhode Island for allowing me to review this vehicle. Take care.